reading about people's scariest experiences while using the dark web. From people's webcams randomly turning on, to being sent your own address with the message, "I know where you live." So today we asked the question, dark web users of Reddit, was there ever a point you felt like you were genuinely in danger? I've used the dark web once or twice. The scariest thing was when my screen went black for a few moments and turned back on. As for dark or disturbing, I found a list of random addresses. Like, what were their names attached to the addresses? I just don't like that. I once bought a bit of weed and I received a blackmail letter threatening me with awful things, like sending CP and calling the police if I didn't send 1 Bitcoin, $1,000 at the time. I was scared shitless, but nothing ever happened. Always check the reviews before buying anything. They have reviews. I did not know that the dark web had reviews. That's insane, actually. I was trying to buy those super cool laser pointers and I got a random message saying, "I know where you live." I noped out of that site straight away. Why did you have to go to the dark web to buy a laser pointer? You could buy that on Amazon. Every time you use the dark web, remember that the person that you just bought drugs from knows 1, your address, 2, that you have drugs in your house, and 3, there's probably evidence of dark web use in your finances, computer, or trash. They can rat you out with impunity just because they're feeling malevolent. They could also just get caught and be careless with destroying ex-customer information, so hangs over my head to this day. Yeah, I've never really understood why people felt comfortable giving somebody on the dark web their address. Like, clearly they can find it anyways, but willingly giving them your address so they can ship you something doesn't seem smart. Trigger warning for gore on this next one. I don't know if it was the dark web, but I accidentally came across a website that was basically just Pornhub for gore. I saw a couple seconds of a man with his hands already chopped off, getting his face peeled off by some sort of cartel, and noped the fuck out. I had to take a break from the internet for a couple days. I'm gonna have to take a break after just reading about these things. Yeah, okay. Next. My friends and I were once ordering some green off the dark web. On the way, we saw a dude selling cyanide. Don't ask me how I got it. Don't tell me what you're using it for. Violation of either condition will void the sale. Why do I not know what cyanide is? And I know I've heard that word before, but for some reason I don't know what that means. I had a buddy who used to order weed. The distributor got busted and the postal service let him know there was a suspicious package for him. He could either pick it up or it would be destroyed. Please tell me he did not pick that up. Like, hey, we have a really suspicious package. Do you want it? I own a fairly rare car that had a rare error code. I looked it up on Google and there was only one other person on the car makers forum that had the exact same error. This guy took months and months going back and forth between car shops and the forum thread trying to get the issue fixed. Everyone on the forum was pitching in, trying to help him. So I kept going through this long forum thread to try and figure out if he ever fixed it. And suddenly, there's no more replies from the guy. Everyone was scratching their heads for a while. We thought maybe he had gotten the issue fixed and didn't bother to update us on it. Then, one day, a news article popped up about a really rich guy who died in a Thai jail cell. And then we connected the two stories, and they matched up. The same make and model of the car in the news article matched up with his car, and they were both claiming to be in Thailand at the time. So what happened was that the same guy who was still talking on the forum got raided by the Thai police around the same time he stopped replying to the forum. Turns out he was running one of the biggest dark web marketplaces where drugs were being sold and exchanged. Had something like 1 million in revenue per day, and he was hiding out in Thailand while living in luxury. They found him dead in his jail cell a few days later, claimed he died of suicide. Then somebody replied and said the dude was stupid enough to use his real email ID, the one he was using for LinkedIn and all legal businesses, and he was sending welcome messages to the people who signed up on the website. Okay, yeah, there's hitmen, human trafficking, and snuff films, and such a vast majority of these sites are scams asking you to send them Bitcoin. A small portion of users on the dark web would be there for this sort of stuff. However, buying drugs online is quite popular and widespread. Single vendors can have $500,000 in lifetime sales. Then somebody said, yeah, the hitman stuff tends to be 99% fake. I leave the 1% of wiggle room since there's always new sites popping up. Largely, it's a scam to continually extort money from you. I've also not heard of 100% real Red Room. Everything else is pretty real though. To me, the scariest stuff is the stolen logins being sold. Someone could straight up buy your PayPal if it was ever compromised. That and access to home security cameras and stuff. Privacy online is an illusion. I don't like that, but that's why I don't have a webcam. No webcam, no mic. For some reason, I still get scared. Webcam turned itself on once. That was scary. I immediately unplugged it and my network cable ran 3 complete scans of my system for malware and viruses. Found nothing. hasn't happened since. But then somebody replied and said this happened to one of my friends. He said the camera turned on and he was redirected to another website where he saw his own face and some kind of official seal with an eagle on the side. He didn't read what any of it said because he shut down his PC as fast as he could. He was really quiet and anxious the next few days. The first day he looked very scared and even looked pale. This is what prompted me to ask what happened. And then someone replied to that and says, sounds like it could have been one of those fake FBI scams. I had a similar one when I was a teenager on my first laptop. It loaded up the webcam and had a bunch of shit talking about how the US government was going to arrest me for piracy unless I sent them $200 on prepaid cards. Like, send me an iTunes gift card? Yeah, the government, okay. Yeah, this is a super common one still. Sometimes they threaten to release browser history, photos of people in compromised positions, that they viewed CP sites, or threaten arrest. Hugely successful and ongoing scam. I'm pretty sure this one is like the exact plot of a Black Mirror episode that scarred me for life. I can't watch that show anymore. A couple of friends got hit with the compromised photo scam a few weeks ago. They were told there was a video of them doing something, whatever, to whatever porn they were watching, and if they didn't pay, the video would be leaked to everyone in their contacts. They didn't give any shits, posted on Facebook like, hey, someone just tried to blackmail me saying they have nude footage of me from hacking my webcam, so if it's true and it gets posted, you're welcome, I guess. I feel like that's the best way to go about it, honestly. The Black Mirror episode, however, is much deeper than that, and it is a traumatizing episode to watch. I've never personally felt like I was in actual danger, so to speak, since I take proper precautions, but early on, I did accidentally come across a site/forum while exploring that was filled with snuff photos of women people had assaulted and knocked out or killed. Shut down my browser pretty quick after that, but felt uneasy for a long time after. Ah, fuck. I would never go to the dark web anyways, but like the chance of accidentally stumbling across something like that? No, never in my life. I've written a couple books about the dark web, which means I've spent a bit of pretty much every day of the past 8 years poking around the inside. Over the years, I spoke to, interviewed, and even visited many dark web identities. Drug dealers and operators of darknet markets, mostly. I attended the trial of one of the most evil people on the planet, Lux, the owner of Hurt to the Core, a child torture site. Turned out to be a friendless, unhappy kid who built his evil empire from his childhood bedroom with his parents blissfully unaware of what was happening under their noses. A kid? The only time I've even slightly felt in danger, despite all this nosing around in there, was when I helped uncover a hitman scam. The owner of Bessa Mafia, the most profitable murder-for-hire site in history, came after me when I started writing about him. He made loads of threats. You don't know who I am, but I know who you are and where you live. But that wasn't scary, as I had access to the back door of his site thanks to a friendly hacker and knew he didn't really want to hurt anybody. It took a bit of a darker turn when he told the people who had signed up to work as hitmen on his site and who he made video themselves burning cars with signs on them to advertise how legit this site was, then never sent them the promised money for doing so, that I was the owner of the site that had ripped them off. That could have become ugly, but luckily, even thugs weren't dumb enough to believe him. The only other time I've been a bit nervous was when Homeland Security wanted to have a friendly meeting with me on one of my trips to the US to attend a trial. They were friendly, but scary too. I need to look into your books because that's insane, and I feel like I need to read them. Not really a dark web user, but I got doxxed by a neo-Nazi group on the dark web and ended up having to use the dark web to find the website that had my information. Department of Homeland Security and the FBI showed up at my doorstep because they were threatening to send me letter bombs and send people to abduct and rape me. It was scary as shit. They all fell off the face of the earth recently, so I'm just hoping the feds got to them. That is the scariest thing I think I've ever read. I don't want to give out details because obviously my information is already out there, but I was in a political community for upwards of 4 years. All sorts of politics from communism to anarchy were discussed. I had mentioned I liked going on the dark web to find those creepy cursed videos, and I guess he took that as a green light. This specific person decided to put my name on a list and pulled it out of a hat. Next thing I knew, his I don't know what that is. I'm scared. His group was threatening to show up at my doorstep and send me letter bombs, threatening to slaughter my dog and bring me to my old home. That's another story for another day. It was really frightening, but I haven't heard anything from the feds or from his little playmates in a long time. Hopefully the feds got to him. They were in an article about Telegram actually, now that I think of it. Oh my god, I'm like scared and I'm like, I think we're done. I think we might be done. I don't need to learn anything else. I'm still scrolling for some reason, but I really want to be done. Okay, we're done. I'm gonna click off the tab. That's all I'm gonna read for now. If you guys have ever used the dark web or have any creepy stories about it, I have a subreddit that I'll have linked down below. You guys can share your stories there, but I'm gonna go. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.